Hey guys, Max here. I just finished Why Gold, Why Now by E.B. Tucker, and I want to go through it. There are a ton of good quotes about gold, precious metal, our financial system, and where we're going 2020 and beyond. So let's dive in. The title is Why Gold, Why Now? The War Against Your Wealth and How to Win It. I really like that because there's a total war going against our wealth right now with inflation, money printing, fiat currency, and the suppression of the gold price. There are so many things happening right now, and I think it's a really good subtitle, How to Win the Battle for Your Wealth, because right now everyone's wealth is being is war being waged against it because of our beautiful, beautiful large governments around the world. Gold is simple. It's the only asset that doesn't depend on something else for its value. Stocks depend on a company's profits, bonds on a coupon payment, apartments need tenants. Gold needs nothing. It's pure, unadulterated wealth. Can anything else do that? That's called not having any counterparty risk. When you give someone a $10 bill to buy a hamburger, they believe that the $10 bill is worth something, and you do, or there wouldn't be any transaction there. And that counterparty is the government. But the reality is, with government faith so low in our world, I don't know how much more money we can print and how much more we're going to believe that the U.S. government has 100% ability to pay back the credit, to pay back anything for that matter. So there's nothing else that has that no counterparty risk. Precious metals are the only way you can have that. What's wrong with the U.S. money system is systemic. The most recent bailout doesn't matter. The next bailout doesn't matter. It's the system of incentives in place to meet every problem with an ever greater pile of borrowed money. The longer that goes on, the bigger and more dramatic the problems become. Now, the question we have to ask ourselves is, can the government, every single time a little bit of trouble comes, bail us out? Now, every time the economy fluctuates, can they bail us out? Eventually, the answer is no. Look at Zimbabwe. Look at Venezuela. Look at the former Soviet Union. The more money you print without any producing, and I'm all about printing money at a very, very small rate to keep up with as we become more productive. But the reality is 2019, 20, and 21, we've been rather unproductive. People were sitting at home receiving their unemployment check for more than they would receive for actually working the job they had previously. That is literal insanity. Like Venezuela and Zimbabwe figured out not rather quickly, it actually took a matter of many years. Zimbabwe, it took about 11 years for the economy to completely crumble because of hyperinflation. But inflation is on the rise. And the more and more money we printed 22% in 2020 of all dollars that ever existed ever from 1776 to 2020, 22%, that's absolute insanity. How far can we go? I don't know. The printing presses are on 100% though, so be ready for that. Eventually, hyperinflation will kill the dollar and we'll have to go to these alternative ways, whether that be cryptocurrency, precious metal, actual physical things. These are going to be actually money in the future, just like seashells and furs and skins were currency many, many years ago. We're going to have to alter it, but the US dollar right now is not looking so hot. And this is not just a U.S. issue. The United Kingdom, Japan, a lot of other larger economies are printing money as well. So good luck. If the Federal Reserve tried to fix the price of coffee beans or corn, there would be an uproar. Somehow, when it comes to the cost of money, it gets a pass. It's rare to find someone who handles that kind of power responsibly. More likely, a feeling of omnipotence sets in. When that happens, watch out. I love this example because the reality is they would never fix, never say never. It seems very unlikely the government would fix our government, United States, would fix prices on coffee beans or corn. Because it's ridiculous. What the free market? But we don't live in a free market anymore because the money supply is now controlled by the Federal Reserve. Once you start having this modern money theory, I just don't understand how they think they can do it differently. We've done this so many times in the past. Why is this time different? I really don't know. But the good news is Janet Yellen and the Federal Reserve know exactly what to do, and they're going to save the economy. Right. The real question is, do you trust yourself to play God? No. Do you trust a government bureaucrat to play God? No. Watch out. All right, question of the day. What percent of your holdings, your monies, do you hold in precious metals, specifically gold? I have probably about 10% gold and 15% silver. So about 25% of everything I own is in precious metals because I really do believe in it, and I really think the US dollar is only going one way. What about you, though? Do you have gold and silver? Are you thinking about gold and silver? Comment right now. Governments can create limitless amounts of money. Politicians think every sign of pain deserves a bailout. They've done it for years. The pace and scale only increase. They'll never stop. And that's because the incentives right now we have in our country is the re-election of the politician. So every 2 years, 4 years, or 6 years. So once we start thinking about 2 years or 4 years or 6 years and not 3 decades from now, that's when we start making short-term decisions that feel good, like minimum wage. It feels good, but it really doesn't do anything for poor people. It really doesn't do anything besides more government bureaucrats having a job to enforce an arbitrary regulation. And once you start having this power-hungry government more and more encroaching upon your life, freedom goes away. They're never going to stop because politicians want to be elected in. It just seems so odd to me that as humans, it seems in general, we don't actually resolve something until the ship is sinking. We don't do preventative maintenance on actually making sure we're not going to sink. We wait until we start sinking, and it seems as though we wait until our ship is half sunk to realize, maybe we should do something about it. Now, if you want to be a violinist on the Titanic, have at it, keep on playing. However, I am not. I'm going to start preemptively being ready for this crash. And this quote is talking about debasement of the currency. Throughout history, gold is the easiest way to do it. It's untraceable. It's easily recognizable. It's readily accepted. It doesn't decay over time. Most importantly, there's no way for government to debase it. That's why they don't want you to own it. With April 2021 as official inflation figures at 4%, they just keep on debasing the money. It jumped from March to April. It was 2% to 4%, literally a doubling. Doesn't seem like a large percentage, but in reality, it's 4% inflation is the highest we've had in a long time. However, if you look at inflation and how we measured it years previously, it's actually a little bit of a worse story. The figures we use for 1990, it's just shadow statistics, shadowstats.com. They show inflation, how we measured it previously. Right now, it's about 4% as of April 2021. The inflation, how we measured it in 1990, was actually about 8%. And if we take it even a step further, the 1980 figures were actually about 12% inflation. So is it 4%? Is it 8%? Is it 12%? I'm not really too sure. I'm not by any means a trained economist. Not that I believe those experts anyway. But the reality is our money is only inflating. It's only going one way. Whether it be between 4 and 12%, let's just take it right in the middle, 8%. 8% of your money is dwindling away every single year just for holding it in cash. And as EB talked about previously, there's only one way, and they will never stop. Every single time there's a small issue, they'll bail it out. Every time there's an issue, bail out, bail out, bail out, bail out. They're using our own taxpayer dollars to bail out these large corporations. Now, that might be a good thing if you're the CEO for the corporation, but it's not so good for the little guy. Because that inflation we've obviously seen. In 2021, we've seen gas go up by almost $1. The corn, gosh, I literally just bought an ear of corn. The ear of corn at the beginning of the year cost about 26 cents per ear. Now it's almost 75. That's almost 3 times the amount of what it cost. That is crazy. The entire system is in trouble. In the end, it won't be a crash that wipes out people. It will be a financial reset. This means a swift conversion to a new money system. And EB talks about this. It's mostly going to be an electronic US dollar, which is pretty much like a cryptocurrency. But the reality is at that point, government can keep track of every single transaction you do, how much money you have in every single account. It'll be touted as easier, less expensive, faster, and safer. Watch, they're going to absolutely pound the safety aspect. Because as you know, coronavirus can live on dollar bills for 10 years. Now, that's a statistic I just made up, but that's how they're going to go about it. They're going to say this is the safest way of going about financial transactions because everybody's on the internet. Everyone's using all these interconnected devices now. Why not we'll just take it a step further with our money? Once that starts happening, oh man, gold prices is literally going to go one way. Hockey stick. And this new monetary system will give you a fraction of what you actually had in dollars. So when that happens, you may think you're getting a certain amount, but in reality, it's actually going to be worth far less because these expenditures, these debt, this interest that we keep on seeing over and over again from the government is only growing. It's only growing, and the only way they can raise more money is by raising taxes or raising more taxes. So be prepared. 0% interest rates will never rise in a meaningful way. If they do, the entire system breaks. Now I want to show you this graph right here. This is So this is crazy. This is written in 2019, so we're even a couple years off. If interest rates rise 1%, 1 point higher than projected, it will cost an extra $1.9 trillion over 10 years. So in 2019, just in interest alone, the government had to pay $383 billion in interest. Now, if we keep what we are right now, and this didn't even take into account all the trillions of dollars we put in stimulus, by 2025, literally, this is just cuckoo, 700 billion. By 2029, and we're going to be there way more quickly than that, the interest by itself is going to be $1 trillion. Our economy is only about 16 trillion. That's a huge percentage on just interest payments. So remember, bad money drives out good money. Once we have these low interest rates, all the good money is going into hiding. It's going into assets like gold. The most successful investors I know don't worry about what they paid for an asset. They only care what it's worth. I mean, that's just a fact. If you paid $10,000 an ounce for gold and it turned into being worth $20,000 an ounce, would you care about the $10,000? No. So that's why it's not a matter of what's the price of gold right now. It's the matter of how many ounces do you have? Because that's really what it comes down to. The price, it really just fluctuates based upon how strong or how weak the dollar is. That's simple. How many ounces do you have? That is the question. All in all, I thought it was a really good introductory book to gold. I've read lots of books on gold, but this is a good one for someone who's just starting out. So if you are thinking about investing in the gold or being a player in the gold market or just wanting to, keep your wealth, I mean, it really is just a hedge. I don't have 100% of my wealth in gold simply because it's a hedge. It's an insurance policy against gold. But what do you guys think about the book? If you haven't read it, I recommend reading it. The links will be below for the book, and I will catch you guys on the next one.